Welcome back to Stuff Around the House. My name is Ryan, and today we are walking through the grocery store. We're going to look at areas like this, the coffee and the bread aisle, and all kind of the major aisles, and just see how they look. And as you can see, the bread aisle doesn't look like much of anything except for about those 12 loaves of bread. I can't imagine they would last too long. Now, as we go down here, we start to move to the meat department, and along that back wall is kind of your ground beef and steak and things like that. But in this case over here, we had a mystery box of meat that I would never buy, but this is normally where your frozen chicken breast, your chicken nuggets, breakfast taquitos and burritos and stuff like that, they all go in kind of these bins. This would be your pasta aisle on the left and your tuna on the right. Now you can still buy a can of tuna, but you don't get a lot of choices. You have even less choices for the pasta sauce. Now the good news is, in that pallet up ahead, there was actually more pasta sauce, so it's nice to see that they are trying to put some stuff back on the shelf. For the pasta, well, there wasn't a lot of choices. And there was a couple that clearly were really poor sellers, at least in my area. These rotini, evidently people aren't a big fan of tricolor rotini. But we did have spaghetti, which I do believe is a top seller. It's just that they probably restocked it. Now, this is your macaroni and cheese on the right, or what used to be the macaroni and cheese. But the really encouraging thing that we're seeing over and over again in these aisles is that they really are working hard to restock it. Now, on the left was your snack food items, and those were not really picked over, so I guess that's good that people maybe were trying to make some healthy decisions. Now, on the right is salsa and stir-fry sauces and things like that, and they really weren't picked over. But the other thing that was before that was the rice, and it was completely gone. Good news, if you are a big fan of Easter, well, there's all sorts of Easter candy that you can buy. Nobody has hardly touched it. I'm actually surprised that that's not a little more picked over just because it's starting to come up soon. But with all of the new rules and states asking people to distance themselves, there probably won't be that many Easter dinners, and that's probably the main reason the candy hasn't sold. This would be your juice aisle, or what used to be the juice aisle. I don't know, I think most of this is garbage. I don't think any of it's really that good for you, but I can see where if you have kids at home, and especially with the schools being closed, it makes a lot of sense to buy juice. Apple juice either was just restocked or didn't sell very well. I get the feeling it was probably restocked. On the right is your vegetable oils, and the only choice you had was a canola oil, and there wasn't that many of them. The baked area, or the baked items area, where you have your cakes and brownies and stuff like that, that was fine. But if you wanted sugar, well, you probably didn't have a lot of choices. But there was still some there. Again, most of these shelves are pretty well empty, but they still have a little bit. You can see there's a couple dozen bags of flour, and you can still buy a bag of flour. Now, if you want a bag of cheap cereal, you are out of luck. If you want a box of name brand cereal, well, you're still pretty much out of luck. I do wish that I would have bought a couple boxes of cereal, but I didn't. Here is the pancake mix, and unless you just want a bottle of really cheap corn syrup, you weren't going to get any syrup. This kind of surprised me. These are your energy bars and things like that, and this was pretty well stocked. I mean, it's pulled forward a little bit, but it's definitely still there, and you can buy that stuff without any problem. Now, as we get to the end of the aisle, this is where it's getting a little more ugly. This would be where your bacon and your sausage patties and things like that were, and again, you have one or two choices, but that's about it. Lunch meat would be down here on the right, and it was pretty well gone too. This is our favorite toilet paper. It's gone. You're not getting toilet paper. If you want Ziploc bags, yeah, you can have some of those, but the garbage bags were hit really hard. Good news again, if you want to have a picnic with some paper plates, they've got plenty of those. I have heard that they are getting toilet paper and paper towels on nearly a daily basis, but they sell out in the first couple hours of the morning. And with the stores closing earlier and opening a little later, that's probably going to make that even a little tougher to get. Of course, this side is just the paper towels, or what used to be the paper towels, and it's gone, just like we would expect. But on the left, this is where all of your household cleaners used to be, and they're pretty well gone. If you have a drain problem, you can still get a bottle of Drano, but it's been surprisingly picked over itself. Now down here on the left, if you need carpet cleaner or Pledge, well, you're in luck. There's plenty of Pledge and there's plenty of carpet cleaner. Probably for good reason. If you want a Lunchable, it looks like they just stocked the Lunchables, so you can buy some Lunchables. This is more cleaning products. This is where the bleach used to be, and you aren't going to get any bleach. This guy's kind of funny.
You too, right?
Yeah, he caught me. Absolutely caught me. So now we're going through the detergent, and this is pretty well picked over on the right-hand side. The left-hand side is your fabric softener and things like that, and it's still pretty well there. But one thing to note on this is the Tide actually looks better today than it did a few days ago. So again, they are continuing to get things. It's just kind of selling fast. But you'll notice that people really are staying home. These aisles are not that busy. And I was proud of people for them staying away from the sugary caffeinated drinks. No reason to really stock up on that. This used to be Gatorade, but it's pretty well picked over. The Powerade on the left, there's still a lot of that. But here you have your gallons of water, and that actually looks a lot better than it did just a few days ago. This would be your cheese and more deli meats and things like that, and it's gone. My favorite aisle to talk about as a metric is the liquor and beer aisle with the wine at the end. I've always said that when this aisle looks really bad, then we know things are getting really bad, because all the people who drink quite a bit are going to start to stock up on alcohol, and they haven't done that yet. So I don't think we're in a complete panic mode, but of course those shelves are looking quite a bit more bare than they did just a week ago. Now we're going to head, I believe, over to the frozen food aisle. And this was kind of hit and miss. Evidently, the Cool Whip is not a hot item, but they've sold quite a few things of ice cream. And these are more of your, breakfast appetizers and pastas on the left. And, they were kind of picked over, but it wasn't bad. If you wanted a gallon of ice cream, you could still have one. You just didn't have a lot of choices. This is more specific to the breakfast, and evidently people were willing to let go of some Eggos because they didn't buy them all. But if you wanted French fries, well, you were kind of out of luck. I believe the hash browns were the ones that were still left, and they were fine, but you weren't getting any French fries. That's kind of where the butter used to be and the eggs used to be, but obviously gone. If you want a frozen pizza, well, you're not getting a Jack's Pizza unless you want that top row of whatever that is, and you had very few choices. But if you wanted other brands, there was some of those, and it wasn't a big deal. Again, we're seeing kind of a trend here that everything is really picked over, but you can still get just about anything you want. It just might not be the real specific flavor that you were looking for. Maybe you can get a pizza, but you can't get a cheese pizza. You would have to get a pepperoni pizza or a combination. You just wouldn't get your first choice, but maybe you get your second or your third. Now we're headed more into this last aisle of the freezers and then the dairy section. That used to be your frozen cookie, or I'm sorry, refrigerated cookie dough. It's gone. And then we have what used to be your yogurt area. It's, again, pretty gone, but that follows the trend of what we've talked about. You can still get a little thing of yogurt, you just probably aren't going to get what you wanted. Frozen vegetables are in that case over there, and this was kind of various stuff. I couldn't really tell what was supposed to be there, but your refrigerated juices were off to the left, and they were beat up pretty good, but the milk was looking really good, like maybe they just got a truck, because that's one thing we've heard more and more about, is that the milk has been not available. It's nice to see it available again. So far, I think this is pretty good news, as bare as these shelves are. Just the idea that no matter what you want, you can still probably get it, just wouldn't be exactly what you wanted. You can get a dozen eggs, you just might not be able to get a dozen brown eggs. This is another aisle that has been overlooked a lot, and this is like your pain relievers for your Tylenols, Advil, Aleve, things like that. And there was a couple boxes here and there. You might have to get gel caps instead of tablets, but you could still have them. If you have allergies, things are looking pretty good. And then this was like your Visines and stuff like that for your eyes, and that was all fine. Something we don't always talk about a lot, though, are the tampons, and of course, a lot of people buy them. So I was curious to see what the tampon aisle looked like, because it was really bad last time. And it's still pretty well picked over this time, but there was obviously some people in here filling the shelves. Off to the left was the hand soap, and it was really all gone. Thanks for taking a trip to the grocery store. Make sure that you like and subscribe, and I look forward to bringing you guys the next video, and hopefully we'll continue to see these things improve and not get worse. Thanks for watching, everybody.